So guys, thank you for joining me on this master class, Discover Your True Purpose. I'm going to start with a story of my childhood. So in 70s, in my childhood, I had some unique memories of that time. We had a house, the banks of river Gomti, in a place called Sultanpur, which is Rahul Gandhi's constituency. And the backyard of that house, there was a big giant tree on which there was a swing. My parents had put that swing, and my favorite time was to go sit on that swing and watch the fun, the river, the birds, the trees and everything. Let me give you some details. I'm one of the youngest in my family, and my elder brother is 21 years elder to me, and the sister was 14 years elder. What's the implication? You don't have anyone to play around. So by the time I came to being, everybody had moved to the higher studies. So I was alone. And at that time, watching all the fun, I think of that period in a very pleasant way, and three words come to my mind when I think of that period. The first word is dream. Because when I'll sit on that swing, and as the swing go up and down, you will just dream and dream and dream. The second word that comes to my mind is think. There's a constant reverie of thoughts in my mind which would go on to make some wonderful connections of possibilities and opportunities. And the third word that comes to my mind is conversations. Why? Because there was no one else to talk. So you would talk to yourself and go on and on. And every time somebody would come to my house, I would be hungry for conversation. By the way, the conversation for me is less talking, more listening, or more questions. But why I'm sharing this story with you? You know, in these three words was rooted my passion, my purpose, and my profession. Which are the three words? Dream, think, and conversation. Let me tell you how. As a thinker, writer, speaker, and coach, I help people dream big. I help them think through a variety of situations, complex, ambiguous, whatever. My job is to help them think through in the positive way and shift their perspective. And conversations for me is the medium by which I can lift their thinking. The purpose of sharing this story, today in the 2 hours, I would like you to think of your childhood experience, which is that famous favorite experience that brought a little joy, that brought a little smile, and can you package that experience into 3 words? So one part of your mind should be thinking about those 3 words. Is that fair? Can you let it run in the backdrop of your mind? Okay, good. In next 2 hours today, I'm going to let you access your purpose code. That's true. Now some of you may be wondering, how is that possible? How can someone help you discover your purpose code in just 2 hours? Mark my word, I didn't say find, I said discover. Now there is a difference between discovery and finding. Discovery is a process, finding is an outcome. So I'm going to give you the process, the tools and framework. If you invest in those 3, you are surely and concretely bound to find your purpose. So how many of you want to access the purpose code? Raise your hand. Good. There are few, I don't see the hand, so maybe they just want to watch the fun and see how the show progresses, and then they will jump, and that's fine with me. So whenever you have to access something, what is the 3 criteria you need? If you have to access anything, something like purpose code, what do you need? Okay? Open mind. Who said that? Good. Big round of applause for him. You need openness and receptivity. You know, this universe is full of abundance, but it only comes to those who are open and receptive. The second criteria is drop your judgment. We have far too narrow experiences to get us a license to judge things. So if you drop the judgment, you will be on the path. And third one is assumptions. You have to drop your assumptions, because assumptions will come as filters and they will not let you access your purpose code. But before I give you the purpose code, who am I? What makes me credible enough to give you this purpose code? So let me share a glimpse of my life and journey, and let's see how it happens. So I've had 6 different careers in my life, all across vast and different contexts. The first one, I started as an exploration geologist. So geologist's job is to explore, and I became an explorer for the rest of the life. Till 2 years after taking my first profession, I had a chance meeting with 2 young captains of Indian Army in Rajdhani train, and that's where I got fascinated to join Indian Army. For next 20 years, I served in Indian Army, fought in 4 wars, Jaffna, Bosnia, Israel, been in Siachen Glacier, and that gave me an attitude of a warrior. Now, what is the warrior I am talking about? Warrior here is not about beating someone else. The warrior is about conquering your own demons, own flaws, own follies. So, explorer and warrior. My third career was in United Nations, the famous peace accord between Rwanda and Congo in 2004. I happened to handle that with Joseph Kabila, Paul Kagame, Kofi Annan, and 26 heads of state. Now, when I work with so many people, one thing I learned is the stakeholders management. In your pursuit of purpose, you'll have to manage lots of stakeholders. I also learned one thing: people are there for themselves, they are not necessarily against you. Mark this word. People are there for themselves, they are not necessarily against you. But every time somebody does something, we think that he is directing things towards us. If you can get this understanding clearly, you are surely going to be on the path of discovery. Thereafter, I founded a company called Maverick Consulting. The Maverick word is from the famous movie Tom Cruise, Top Gun. I thought I'm like that, and not physically otherwise, but in attitude. To give you an example, one fine day I decided to drive 650 miles on a bike from Jammu to Delhi just to meet someone. So the idea is, what is this Maverick? How to lead change. And this leading change came from the vast experience that I've had. As I was continuing to do that, I met someone at Heathrow who was the TCS chairman then, Mr. Ramadurai. And that conversation led me to eventually come to TCS as head of strategy and leadership development. One thing I want to share with you from these 4 experiences up till now: 2 things can change the course of your life: the books that you read and the people that you meet. If you are not doing enough of these, maybe your life is not changing in a positive way the way you would want to. So meet people, read people, because they will give you the triggers for the life. My 6 careers are an outcome of meeting 6 people at different stages in life. So I joined TCS. What did I do in TCS? I groomed 350 leaders. I deployed strategy for 20 odd industry domains, and that gave me an experience that if I can do this for within the organization, why can't I do outside? And that led me to create my current job, which I train, lead, coach people. 4 words I said: I'm a thinker, writer, speaker, and coach. And these 4 things enable me pay my bills. So learning, living, and legacy all happen through this work. What next? I have embarked on the path of spirituality, because I learned this is the most branded and highly paid mission or highly paid profession. So I'm trying to pick up the things that how can I combine management and spirituality and yet continue to do the job that I am doing. So I'm on the path of learning now. So this is in brief my journey, and does that give me enough credibility to talk to you about how one can change and rediscover myself? Good question. I told you it was not conscious. Every time I was just little more alert to the triggers. 2 captains in train changed my career. I met a guy who was a Navy SEAL who lost his legs in US War College, who had become a Bain partner. And I said, if this guy who had lost his legs in Afghanistan can make this journey, why can't I? And I happened to meet somebody in UN, and he said, come and work with me. So that's how it has been. Call it serendipity, or I think it's a design which I did not have the ability to understand then. Now when I look back, I have that. And that's what I'm going to teach you. Just a bit data, these are the number of people that I kind of impacted. Numbers are important in life. If you don't have the number consciousness, the impact that you can create may come in your way. So whatever you do, add numbers to that. So this is what I call myself, student of life, teacher of experience. So whatever I'm going to teach you is through these things. Don't ask for any research, don't ask for any theory, because I have lived the theory and research, and that's what I'll give you. Is that fine with everyone? Okay. What's my mission? So I have 2 missions. One is to help people become strategic in the outlook, because if people can think long term in a big way, they can simply elevate and shift their stance. And the second thing is help people rediscover themselves. This is what I do. How do I do? I run 2 master classes in a year. One is on strategic thinking, which is something like this. The next one is 28th, 29th November. And the next one is Rediscover Myself, which is based on mindfulness, yoga, and design thinking. The next one is in Juhu, Novotel, 13, 14 December. So there are some flyers here. If it's of any interest, you can take that. So this is about my mission. What's my vision? To build a community of 10,000 people who would have discovered themselves over the next 10 years. This is what the vision is. When you think of vision, 3 words are very important, and I like you to note down. I call them DDI, not the consulting organization DDI. D is destination. Where do I want to go? The second is direction. And third is the impact. So what is my destination? What is my direction? And what is the impact I want to create? Okay. So when you think of vision, these 3 words are extremely important. All right. So my first question to you on this path of purpose discovery is, where are we? And if you have to answer this question, what on earth am I really here for? Take 30 seconds to think and share what kind of response comes to your mind. I know some of you had good lunch and you must be wondering, is this the right time to ask this question? Do give it a try. What on earth am I really here for? Volunteer, please feel free to share. Yes. Those who know? Good. Very good. So give big round of applause for her. She's in the right class, in the right room. Is this a good time to entertain this question? If not now, when we'll do that? Now, the purpose discovery does not happen on one fine day you asking this question. It is rooted in the pursuit of this question day after day, day after day. So there is a book written by Rick Warren, What on Earth Am I Really Here For? And I want to give you a framework to evaluate and get an answer to this question. So if I ask you to define 3 levels of living, what could those be? Let's say you have to respond to a question that there are 3 levels of living, what could come to your mind? Living for self, living for others, and living for greater good, maybe. Okay, that's one level. Any other construct anybody has? Yes? Lovely. Existing, living, thriving. I think it's close to the thinking that I'm going to share with you. The first level of, okay, this is starting from top. So from the topmost is the significance level of living. When you really live for significance and create an impact. The next one is success level of living. I think all of us in some way we would fit into this category of, because we have a job, we have a house, we have bare minimum things. So, we could qualify ourselves in success level of living, and the bottom one is survival level of living. Now, some of us can question that, do I really need to live at this significance level of living? It is your choice. See, people in this room are luckier than those who are outside, yes or no? There are a lot of people who are facing a lot of problems. So, one thing for you is to see which level of living I am currently there and how can I shift my stance. Clear? Survival, success and significance level of living. Now, John Maxwell, anybody heard of the name of John Maxwell? He tried to define this success and significance difference, and he chose 5 criteria. The first criteria he chose motives. What is the motives for significance and what is the motives for self? So, what do you think when it comes to motives and success, what will come here? When we combine success and motives, what should come? With success, my motives may be selfish. Whenever we think of success and motives, here it will be selfish, but here it will be larger than self, beyond self. So, that is one way of differentiating. The next one is influence. With money, your influence is limited, yes or no? Look at Bill Gates before Bill and Melinda Society, when he was just the CEO of Microsoft, and look at Bill Gates who is now. Who has created more influence after he has left Microsoft? Okay. So, the influence is limited, with significance is unlimited. Look at Gandhi, Mandela, Martin Luther King. So many people, their significance is still, influence is still lasting. This January, I was in New York and I was in an Uber, and there was a black driver who was generally conversing, and I asked him, what's your view on Trump? He said, I love him. I said, good, why do you love him? He said, I love him because he is able to communicate and make it reach what he wants. So, in his communication, he is effective, so I love him. Then actually I asked this question, do you really admire him? He said, no, I don't admire him. I said, you just said that love him. He said, no, love is different, admiration is different. Then I asked him, who do you admire? And he said, Mahatma Gandhi. Look at somebody so far away, and he says, Gandhi. I said, what makes you admire Mahatma Gandhi? And I thought he will give some kind of answer which is not very impactful. He said, I admire him because of spiritual discipline and ideological philosophy. Look at the Uber guy sharing these 2 words. They are very distal words. So, what's the difference is that people who live beyond themselves, their influence is far too lasting. Success can't last lifetime. We have Anil Ambani, who was once billionaire in Forbes list. Today it's not there, and there are so many. But this one can last several lifetimes. The focus here is on how can I add value to myself. 10 years back, when I started my journey, I wanted to become the leading coach. And the focus was on me that how can I become one of the world's best coach. I had a chance to meet Marshall Goldsmith in 2008, and since then it's been a tremendous journey. I've been working with him for a long time. And I shared this question, and he said, Himanshu, change your radar. Right now your focus is on yourself. You need to think, how can I impact others positively? If you do that, then you will become the leading coach. It was a hard thing to realize, difficult to do, but since your ambition was there, one did that. And that got me into top 100 coaches in 2017. So, the radar has to be on others in order to achieve significance. Last is reward. If I pursue success, my joy is the result of my success. But if I pursue success, my joy is the result of other success. So, how do I get joy out of other success? From winning to enabling others win, that's the clear difference between success level of living and significance level of living. I'm going to pause for 30 seconds and take any question if you have. Yes. So I think when you cross a river, you start from home bank, then you come in the mid of the bank, and then you go to the other side. So it's a journey. Somewhere there will be balance, but somewhere the impact will come larger when you are completely on the other side when you're doing for others. So what is this significance level? And I picked up some quotes and thoughts for you. Can I have someone read out? Yeah. Can I read out? Yes. We have the mic? Yeah, this. Go ahead.
Something to strive for that is bigger than you. We all want to matter and to make a difference in the world, at work or in someone else's life. Our higher or greater purpose is how we find deep meaning and fulfillment in our lives by serving, impacting, and contributing to someone or something that is bigger than ourselves.
Yeah, thank you. There is another one. I love this quote by Barack Obama. He says, focusing your life solely on making a buck shows a certain poverty of ambition. It asks too little of yourself because it's only when you hitch your wagon to something larger than yourself that's where you realize your true potential. If you have to pick up one word which is really resonated, what is that word? Potential. Poverty of ambition. Yes, it really hits you hard that you're only thinking about that much. So I love the visual metaphor that you hitch yourself to something larger. Look at Bill Gates sorting toilet problems in Africa, Swachh Bharat. Think of all the issues, and he's using technology to sort that out. So hitching yourself to something larger, I really love that. Yes, please. Absolutely. It's your context. Whatever resources, thinking, wherewithal you have, you choose your context. Choose your own karma bhumi, and that's where you can make significance. I love this one. Allow your passion to become your purpose, and it will one day become your profession. And that's what I am doing, those 3 words, dream, think big. On that, there is another story which I want to share. So there's a guy called John Laser. He's a coach in New York, and I happened to have the breakfast with him. And I asked John the same question which I asked everyone, which is the most memorable childhood memory that brings a joy and a smile to you? And if you think of that, which are the 3 words come to your mind? He thought for a while, and he said the words that come to my mind is first, care. Second, he said self-expression. And third, he chose dream. I said, John, help me understand that. He said, as a child, I did not get care. So now it's my role to bring care to others. I could not express myself because of insecurity and many other issues. Today I have developed that courage, so I'm using to help others self-express them. So from those period, you actually have your, that little intel inside which can give you a glimpse of what and where you could be. All right, so this is for the context, and now we are actually going to do some work with ourselves to see how we can land. Now the beauty of this exercise is that you have to think fast, you have to write fast, and you have to keep moving one stage to another. Don't judge yourself, don't label yourself. Everybody has a pen? Okay. Do we have extra pen or somebody? Pen, pencil? Good. Share. Time to pay it forward. I have one too. Who wants? Otherwise, use smartphone. Okay. So we are going to discover purpose through 2 constructs. The first I call it 5-question framework. Okay. And the second one is called discovering purpose through your crucibles. I'll explain to you later on. But which are those 5 questions? The first question is just why what's that coming? Just remove that. Your device turns off. Press OK. Yeah, the first question itself is who am I, and I'll tell you what this who am I really stands for. The second one, what is it that I love and I'm really great at? The two things, not only I love, but I'm also great at. The third question is who can I use for what I'm really great at? There has to be an audience. If I am good in culinary and cooking or baking, there is an audience to which I can use. So, getting a sense of audience is the key. The fourth question is, can we just remove it? Who are those people who really need it? The fourth question is, you have it in your workbook also. Who are those people who really need what I have? And what's the fifth question? Can you read? How will their lives really change or shape up as a result? Now, when you think of these 5 questions, what goes into your mind? Can I have some share? Yeah.
What do I love and what am I great at? I love doing public speaking. I love being an influence on a certain aspect of life.
Okay.
And I come from a lot of experience with being in the talent acquisition space for first-time job seekers.
Okay. So, when you are thinking of these questions, there is structured thought process of
Yes.
connecting the dots happening.
Yes, yes.
So, there are linkages happening.
Yes.
I am going to explain some of these linkages to you. Thank you. So, between who am I and what is it I really love and great at is the linkage of passion. Is that true? Okay. What I really love and good at and who can I use for is the element of relevance. Look at the words which I am saying. The first one is passion, the second is relevance. Who I can use for and what are those people really need is the significance of profession. That's where my profession can actually fall. Not the jobs that we do, but my truest profession where I can be on song. And those who need it and how will their lives really change as a result lies impact. So, passion, relevance, profession, impact. And the last one, the impact that I produce and who am I, in somewhere lies the mission. Now you can think why I showed you those slides. Helping people become strategic, enable them rediscover. So, it comes from a lot of my journey that I have undergone. So, keep this framework at the back of your mind. We are going to start with the first, and when you do all that, then at the central intersection of that lies your purpose. So, we are going to work on this question, who am I, but in a structured way. Now, you have these 4 kinds of identity. Now, this is the work of Marshall Goldsmith, who really I have had the privilege of working with. He says there are 4 kinds of identity. The first one is remembered identity. Let us ask what is a remembered identity. This is the culmination of remembered events in your life that have helped you form your sense of self. Okay? Yeah. From that identity, what is that I like to change now, which is I am not comfortable. See, those days I may not had the right wisdom and experience to do that, but now I have it. What is that I like to alter that? Okay, look at here for a minute. How did I get these words? I spoke to my sister one fine day, who's 14 years older to me. I spoke to my Masi. I spoke to somebody. I said, your job is to recall my childhood and on a call, give me those words with stories and evidence. It was a wonderful experience. So, on a weekend and whenever you have time, call somebody who's 20, 30 years older to you before they leave the world, get those right experiences, episodes and frame them into your words. That's where you will be sure of your identity at that time. Okay. All right. So, we have 1 more minute to complete this, then we move to the next page. Okay. So, this is the reflected identity. Recalls others' perception conveyed in the form of feedback, both positive and negative. What changes did you undertake based on that feedback? Were there things that you overcompensated? Sometimes Somebody tells us introvert, 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 and then we go on a complete berserk trip and suddenly become what we are not. So, what is that I have overcompensated? Were there things that you ignored or discarded, and what will you like to undo now? Look at these questions. I am going to keep mine for as a reference. So, what are the positive thing? People said, oh, this guy has foresight, he is respectful, mature, because I didn't have anyone to play, so what will I do? I became mature. Negative, small town mentality, cannot compete, keeps aloof, shy, slow, lazy, quiet, short. These are the kind of labels that got attached. Don't publish it outside. Okay. Yeah. The negative, yeah, so negative here, that somebody who said quiet, he does not participate, he cannot communicate. So, in that way connotation could be negative also. How people view differently and how they told you, that is what matters. Okay. Yes. Let us look at one by one. So, what changes did you undertake based on the feedback? So, they are not different, they are the workarounds on that. So, if you see here, what changes did I do? I moved from small town to a metro and went through the exposure of what happens. So, that is where my thinking significantly changed. Were there things that you overcompensated? Something that was told to me, it is not good, did I overcompensate? So, what did I do? I became newness oriented. I suddenly started experimenting a lot with life. At some point of time, I had to take the call that enough of experiments, now let us focus on, choose on few things and stay with that. So, that is how the overcompensation happens. These are just for your reference, you work on your own. I am going to give you 2 minutes time for this. Let us see how many you get.
So, the positive and the negative stereotype.
Yeah.
The positive stereotype, what the image that I got from what others would always talk about around me is very well behaved. Largely my teachers and my relatives would always compliment that and tell my parents about it. Very caring, be it my parents or even I'm the youngest in my family. Joint family and still the youngest and still caring for the elder ones. And very paternalistic in terms of, that goes with the caring part.
Yeah.
In terms of the negative stereotype, the negative side was people would consider me very weak physically. Also in terms of, immature in terms of decision making, I would take foolish decisions and very, very talkative, very talkative. I would literally, I could get in a conversation with anybody. There was a point in time.
Thank you. Yeah. Guys, I want to tell you, sometimes you are victim of prejudices by people who may have just said because it suited them to say at that point of time. But deep down in our conscious, subconscious memory, we really codified that and we actually started behaving like that. My humble request to you and submission to you, examine. Whatever has been your identity up till now, examine and question that, because your new created identity is rooted in the examination that you do of the labels that you are carrying. Okay. I have worked with a lot of people. What is the disadvantage of everybody telling you are a hard working guy? That you are only came to this world to work and hard and nothing else will happen. So, that guy stops thinking smart working, he does not network, he does not connect anything. For him, competence is the only frame of reference. I always say growth happens through competence and connections both. So, you need to invest in both. Okay. Somebody said he is very respectful. What is the flip side of if that thing has been coded as respectful? Match with the teacher's answer, you are going to get a 0 or 3. See, it took me 30 plus years to really benefit from my original and creative thinking. But thank God I did not let it die. One of my mother's sister, we call Masi in our parlance, so her children were doing exceedingly well. And one fine day, she told my mom, why doesn't he apply for UDC, which is Upper Division Clerk? You know, UPSC has an exam. And you know, one thing I that day concluded, that whatever happens, I will not become a UDC. Anything that I can be, but I will not become a UDC. Why I am sharing that? Today I remember her with a lot of good respect, but she was the villain of my life. You need to have a villain in life for you to progress. Do you have, or you need to create one? Okay. Trust me, those villains have come to your life to change your life positively, but it's important to have someone like that. How have these words impacted the person you are today? These words initially dented my confidence and made me shy and introvert, but later provided me the right challenge to conquer those demons. What are the big, describe the big you today? Risk taker, visionary, creative, original, these are the words. I am going to give you 2 minutes to quickly jot down what comes to your mind. Do this exercise as seriously, and later on build it on a weekend, you will really benefit from this. I have always noticed that whenever I give collateral to people, 50% people write in collateral and rest write in rough, because they want to keep the collateral clean. Why is that so? Make it dirty. Whatever workbook you have, make it dirty. You know, somebody once told me, if your books and copies are dirty, your mind will be clean. I don't know what logic is that, but I really believe that, because when you are jotting down, drawing something, the mind does gain clarity and it gets decluttered. Okay, so we are going to skip this exercise. Basically, in that, what you need to do, what is the resonance between little u and big U today? So, when you write down the words of little u and big U, what are the things that match? And what is the dissonance, means what are the disagreements between little u and big U? Do this exercise, you will know which are the areas that you need to work on. All right, so now we are moving to created identity. What is the identity I want to create now? Okay. So, there are 4 questions. The first one is, name the personalities who inspired you. Okay. What attributes and quality do these role models have that create a resonance for you? If you had all the superpower and resources in the world, what would you like to do? And finally, if you are gifted with another life, how would the best version of yourself look like? This time I am not going to show my answer, but I am going to give you 2 minutes and then I will show you the answer. So, your time starts now. I will give you an example of what I am denying about myself. So, I was working with a guy, he was a very senior leader, and usually in my coaching I invite him to write his life story. And when I was going through his life story, I mentioned there is not much mention about his father. So, out of curiosity I asked that, oh, there is a chapter missing where I do not see anything about your father. And he said, I do not want to talk about. And I said, okay, today is your best day. If you have not spoken up till now, today is your best day. Do you want to utilize or let it go? He thought for a while and then he started sharing, and for the next 10 minutes he shared his father was an alcoholic, he was abusive, he went through a very tormenting period, his mother suffered, and when his father died, he closed that chapter and simply buried in one corner of the house. So, at that point of time, I asked a question to him, tell me without judgment, what did your father teach? Now, if you put yourself in the shoe of that guy, what kind of thoughts and questions will come to your mind? What did that father teach to that kid? Any thoughts? Not become like him, not to be abusive, be more empathetic. Anything else? Be more responsible. Okay. So, and I gave him a construct that come up with 20 points that your father taught you. Trust me, whenever he gives such a thing, you leave judgment, you start writing, and he actually came with 20 thoughts. Then I asked him, who is the best teacher in your life? He said, my father. I said, what do you want to do? At that point of time, he broke down. And he was carrying the years of burden on his shoulders. A 40-year-old guy, successful, by all means, broke down like a child. What I am denying about myself? And you know, in our next session, he came with a lot of joy. He said, I want to share something. I said, what? I took the picture of my father from the cupboard or the trunk that I had put, cleaned it up, put it on my wall, talked about to my children and my wife, and it has been the biggest revelation of my life. So sometimes the things that we can keep running away can actually come in our growth. Okay, so few things I wrote, and then I'll give you one more minute. So not much inheritances I accepted about myself, small town upbringing accepted, moderate childhood accepted, usual inadequacies accepted, original charting own territory, yes, that's what I loved it, not much support from the word, it's fine, things don't come easy way. You know, for a lot of time I kept rankering that things don't come easy way, but then I learned that I was being trained for handling failure and not alone programmed for success. I was being prepared for bigger roles and responsibility, and that could not have come any other way. Does this make sense? Running away nothing, denying about myself nothing, because I worked a lot on these things, and that's what today I am in that stage, and eventually I would like to see these columns being blank. Now, how many of you still have thoughts here? Raise your hand. Good. You have a lot of work to do, and that's a great place to be. But eventually, as part of your cleaning up process, if you can get these two columns blank, you will be on the path of discovering of your purpose. Yes. People who can follow me authentically. Why is this come? Okay, this authentic following is because then I have more opportunity to impact them. If more people follow, then I have a more opportunity to work with them. It's only from that point of view. Okay. See, we all, once we achieve some clarity, we want to create the impact at a bigger level. Yes. Who has the mic, please? Anyone has the mic? No, you aren't.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes.
Thank you. This exercise that we are doing,
Yeah.
how often do you suggest us to do it, like frequency, 3 years, 5 years?
I think if you are starting from scratch, 3 years is a good time. Thereafter, you just need to review the elements. I think if you do too frequently, then it may lead to a lot of shifting of your GPS.
Okay, and also, do you expect these answers to change?
They do. They do. Some of
Every
these
time
things.
we do this?
Yeah, some of these things like what you are chasing 4 years back, you may not chase now. Okay. What you may have not developed the wisdom to deny yourself, you may have it now. So things do change. With age, experiences, mainly experiences, exposure, your thought process should or does undergo change.
So, how do you evaluate whether the changes are good or bad?
How do you evaluate? Choose the context where and establish the relevance. If these things which are now, are they relevant to what role work I am doing, that's one way or the criteria. I can talk about it more little later offline. Okay guys, so moving further. The last one which is an outside in, I think the heading is wrong. The third one, the last one, what is the heading on top in your workbook? From outside in? Okay. So, what is the first question there in your workbook? Can you read this one? Yeah. First, characteristics that create the pull. So, what are those features and characteristics that create strong pull? The personalities that I can relate to, the personalities that put me off, and characteristics that personalities that I don't wish to be like them. Okay. So, what I am trying to say, who I can borrow and like to be like them, who does not interest me. If you can get that clarity, you will have some resonance that what kind of new identity could look like. So, take 2 minutes and write down, today is the best time, that who are those people and what are those characteristics that could be of relevance. Priyanka Chopra, who said? Where is PC?
Personalities I don't wish to be.
I forgot who I wrote. Yes, got it. Yeah. Let's see what you come up with. See, we need anchors in life, that who we can borrow, who we can leave, and that helps us in the growth and evolution. Now, if you look at all people in my personalities that I can relate to, they are in the space of cerebral, and that's what I like to be, and that's where I need to be. So, thinker, writer, speaker, and coach, that bundle of four actually comes from Marshall Goldsmith, Vijay Govindarajan, Bill Gates, Satya Nadella, Clayton, Bill George, and some of these people. Even Modi, I like some of his thought process and the way he communicates. Yes.
What makes us deny some feelings about ourselves? Is it, people around us or
Social validation, societal validation, because of approval syndrome, it can come in our way of denying something, because if I accept myself, others will also talk about it. But the growth happens in overcoming our own demons and own follies and flaws. So, sometimes social, societal validation, need for approval can come in the way. I often use this word. So, I published an article in LinkedIn, you can check life through a counterintuitive lens, and I wrote about 15 odd points. The one of them is stop impressing, start expressing. How long you would like to be in the game of impressing, because when you impress, your performance goes down, but when you freely express, you really make an impact in the long term. All right, so everybody wrote that down. Would someone like to share? What are the thoughts in those four quadrants? Yeah, can we have the mic for her and then for him? I guarantee that today anyone who will share, he will work more than others. Yeah, the lady. That.
Thank you. The personality or the characteristic that creates a strong pull for me, I would say I love people who love challenges. I love people who…
Name. Name. I want you to be specific.
One name that comes all of suddenly to my mind is Princess Diana.
Okay.
She was one lady that I really admire, in the sense that a lady of such a stature, she had the guts to go against the wind, and she took all the challenges in her life to make a really remarkable impact on others' life also.
Okay.
So we do not see people like her too often.
So, from her expression, you can see the departure from the norm is something that is attractive to you.
Yeah, quite
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Okay. So, our idea to relate to personality is to find out those typical features which excite us, which enthuse us, which really help us resonate with that. Personality that you don't wish to be.
I don't. I somehow don't prefer much of glamour or high social life. I would…
Name.
Maybe I don't like Priyanka Chopra.
Okay, good. It's your choice. See, you would have noticed I am being little specific here. If you shoot and see wherever the arrow goes and that's your target, that's not the way. It's time to get as clear and as specific as possible, because then you have a game to work on. Yeah, go ahead. Mike, please just pass this. Go ahead, Mohit.
So personalities that would probably I can relate to would be Swami Vivekanand. Would be one, because he challenged the status quo all the time, I think, as the first person. Generally, how I can relate it to myself is because in my family, I've been always told that, probably from the background that you were saying about the relatives, that I've been the one who always challenges the kind of thing, that I've been the one who has been acted as the most stubborn one.
Okay.
So I am okay with that, but then that's how I relate to his personality, basically. The personalities I don't wish to be is generally would be politicians.
Yeah.
As a precise.
So, guys, I want to draw your attention to whosoever you closely relate to, start mapping him or her little more closely. Get into those behavioral aspects. How do they spend time? What do they learn? What are the experiments they do in life? What do they publish? How they present? When you get closer to them, that's where you pick up really doable, workable elements. Otherwise, just a fuzzy picture that I love someone from that distance, I really don't learn and borrow things from him. So, get closer to that person and see what you can borrow. Yes. If you are not able to relate, maybe you need to spend time with the question now that who can be, because maybe up till now this question you have not entertained in the direct way. With now the question being as a frame, start experimenting. Okay, let us see Mr. A evaluate, Mr. B evaluate, and something will come up. Yeah. See, I often today what I am doing the roles is primarily because of two gentlemen, Vijay Govindrajan and Marshall Goldsmith. One is a Harvard business professor, other is a leading guru. If these guys had not come in my life, I would not be doing that. And there is a story there. I took a team of top leaders of TCS to Tuck School of Business, and there was a session going on, and I was, as a coach, I had the opportunity to hop on to different session. The next session, it was Marshall class, and there was a friend of mine, Clark Allen. I said, Clark, who's this guy? I would love to meet him. He said, don't worry, we have a cocktail in the evening, why don't you join? 2007, I had an opportunity to meet with him, and from there, I got that, you know, we have something called a rub-off effect. When you spend some time, there is a clear, tangible borrowings that you can arrive there, and then you start working on that direction. All right, so we are moving forward. Now, here is the mind map, which is a blank sheet for you. I want you to pick up all the exercise that words that you have written. Put those words which are closer to you in the inner circle, the ones that are outer, put them outer, but see how many words you can. For this, I will give you good 3 minutes time. Just keep turning your pages, keep borrowing the words that you have written up till now, and you are in the center. So, let us see which all adjectives you can put and plot for you. If you are not getting, don't worry, but don't borrow others. They may not be relevant for you. Eventually, our identity is a collection of adjectives that suit us. Remember this. And you ask this question, does it change? So, an adjective that was dear to us 5 years back may not be dear to us now. That is why we need to do this periodically. "30 seconds more, put as many as words that come to your mind. All right, so let us have some of the people, what are the words that you written in the inner circle, and this time I would like to hear those who have not spoken up till now. Maybe you? Yeah, can we have the mic for the lady? Yeah, go ahead.
The inner circle has being kind, caring, assertive, and dedicated.
Kind, caring, assertive, dedicated. Okay. What lies outside?
Being decisive, responsible, helping, matured.
Okay.
That's all.
Now, you need to draw the connections from the outside to the inner one and see what linkages really establish that. Okay, thank you for sharing. Yes, go ahead. Here, mic please, just keep the mic here. No, the booklets are run, so this I will give later on. Sorry, just finished.
The inner circle is weak, boring, shy, and ADD. So I have ADD. The outer circle is middle class, average in studies, narcissistic to an extent, physically not fit.
Okay. And firstly, big round of applause for sharing that. Thank you. And as you are narrating, what's going in your mind?
It's difficult to tell a bunch of strangers the things that a lot of them are negative qualities. Being shy, having ADD, coming from middle class background is not very easy to accept.
But what gave you the courage and freedom to share that?
If I can't share it now, then how will I improve?
Yes, that's a great place to be, and that's an epiphany. Because the work and growth happens when you accept yourself, and then you, today at least you have a clear opportunity to identify which are the things I need to work on. Okay, good, well done. Yeah, one more person. Yeah, who would like to share from this side? Yes, go ahead. Please pass the mic.
So inner circle is competitive, boring, caring, adventurer, dreamer, thinker, explorer.
Okay. But who says with adventurer, explorer you could be boring?
I don't know, sometimes I can be really boring.
I think it's time to question why this word is there. Is there an evidence of that? Is there an episode of that? Because everything that you write is now subject to scrutiny and inner examination. Okay. Anything else you would like to share?
Assertive, insecure, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, good. You want to share? All right. So guys, this is your identity map. When you put those words, now what is the next level of work you need to do? You need to question every word, and if it makes sense for your future, you need to acquire two things. One, the mindset of that, and second is skill set of that. Anything that you want to be, when I thought of becoming a thinker, writer, speaker and coach, I have not been to Ivy League school, but I have taught in Ivy League. Now look at the guy who has not learnt an Ivy school. I taught a course in strategic mind in Tuck School of Business. You have to challenge assumptions. And the world around you and society around you will tell you, oh, you are not qualified to do that. You are not entitled to do that. You don't have the license to do that. And that's where you need to question and challenge the assumption. So put those words and question them, and that's where your identity will get better. Yes, lady here. Okay, anybody like to answer this question? She is saying, what's the advantage of putting something in inner circle and outer circle? Yeah, something that is very closely, please can you close the door? Yeah, which I closely relate to, that's more close. That's what easy for me to work on. Okay, so after this, you need to, in your weekend, write down a narrative for you. And I am just giving an example for myself that what does this narrative look like. Identity creation is rooted in a narrative. So what's your narrative? And it took me a couple of weeks to eventually write down that. Deep down, I am an original thinker with a sense of care. Love being creative, have learned to accept myself, conquered some of the demons, experience as well as wisdom to illuminate others' path. Enabling people find, accept, challenge and rewire. The gentleman, what's the name? What's the name? Okay. If you notice, he went through this process. He found in some way, he accepted that, he is willing to challenge, and there is a, without he realizing, there is a subconscious rewiring happening, and I am sure in some of you also. Okay. That gives me greatest joy. I am a constant learner and seeker of experiences. It allows me to gather triggers to inspire personal change. You come up with your narrative. If you share to me, I will be happy to give you a comment on that. Okay. I may not respond immediately, but eventually you will hear a response from me. Okay, so back to this framework. You've done your identity work. Now the next question, what is that I really great at? Now for that I will give you a very simple tool. How do you figure out this? You address this question to three things. One, what is that I am supremely qualified? What is that I am superbly passionate? And what is that I am significantly confident to TTT. What do you think is TTT? Train the trainer. I know you are from L&D. Good. Okay. Anybody else? Say. Transform. Okay. What else? Teach. Okay. One is teach, one is transform, other is transfer. Transfer. Okay. So what is it that you are significantly confident to teach, transfer and transform? This is how you figure out what is it that you are really good and great at. Okay. So I give you 2 minutes time and let's see what you can come up with. Supremely qualified, superbly passionate and significantly confident. And this time I really want to hear from you, what did you write in each category? All right, anybody who's written, he is most welcome to share. Can we have the mic? Who has the mic, please?
Thank you.
Which one you are sharing?
All three? Or
Okay,
one?
yeah.
So it's very quick. Supremely qualified is to accept and to retrospect. That's where I feel myself very qualified. Significantly confident is to transfer leadership organically. I very well trust in creating leaders, but that too very organic. And the third one is superbly passionate is to enable people to be better self. That's my passion.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, who wants to share? After lady and then you. Yeah.
Supremely qualified by virtue of working in the space. I think I understand what gets people the kind of jobs they want. Superbly passionate, extremely passionate to work with the first-time job seekers, like I mentioned. Significantly confident to train, transfer, and transform. Again, the way people are looking for jobs and how many more can land the right jobs versus how many are able to right now.
Okay.
I'm sure I can make a transformation in that space.
Good. Thank you. Look at the power in the voice. I'm sure that I can make it. So when you say I'm significantly confident, it must show in your vocal cords. Yeah.
सोफे के बैक साइड लेने नहीं है मैं कह रहा हूँ वहाँ पे सेफ है ना
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm supremely qualified in giving good shopping advice. I can tell you what to buy, what not to buy. Good at that. Supremely qualified in giving good advice about what to read, which authors to read. Supremely qualified about giving advice which movies to watch, which to skip. Supremely passionate about technology and books. And I would be significantly confident to transfer how to shop better to anyone.
You have a business model in a startup, I can tell you, combine these three things and you can make more money than us. Okay. All right. Anyway, last one. One more. Yeah, who wants to share? Come on, this is your time. No? Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Please, Mike.
supremely qualified to make people happy.
By giving them single malt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make the environment life. That is the second one. Significantly contribute to the training, transfer, and transform.
Okay.
And bring, and the third one, bring good out of everyone.
Okay. So guys, thank you for sharing. Can I have the opportunity to give some quick feedback? Okay. I see a great passion in sharing that. What I see missing is the clarity and the sharpness. Get more specific. The sharper you are, the closer you are to your next business model. Okay. Very simply, so what I am supremely qualified is 4 things: develop leaders, formulate strategy, and executive coaching. Very clear, very definitive. What I am superbly passionate about, helping people find their inner voice. There are far too many people who have lost their inner voice because of validation, societal approval. I get their voice out. Grow and attain peak. What is peak? Performance, excellence, attitude, and knowledge. So my model is very clear that I help people attain their peak, and peak has 4 words: performance, excellence, attitude, and knowledge. Aren't they critical? Okay. Attitude, I remember that scene from 3 Idiots. 16 हड्डी तोड़ा के attitude आया है, आप अपनी job रख लीजिए, I'll keep my attitude. Okay. So what is I am significantly confident? Lead change. 6 careers, all contexts, think big, craft a vision. I have helped 350 leaders create their moonshot vision and reinvent self and stay relevant. So this is how you get your second question. What is the second question? What is it that I am really good at? Okay. Let's go back to the question number 3. Who can I use for what I am really great at? Now all the people who have shared, I give you 1 minute to come up with an audience that who do you think you can use for. Let's see what you come up with, or others also. So in the third circle, write this: who can you use for what you are superbly passionate about, confident about, and qualified about. Yeah, the whatever you have shared, in that, who can you use for? It cannot happen that you are great in jazz music, but you don't have an audience to play with. Then it's of no relevance. Yes. Go ahead, mic please.
Yes, I have the mic.
Okay,
Thank you
good.
so much. I'm Purnima. From childhood, I've been suffering from polio, so it has been a challenge for me physically, but thankfully my parents were very, very motivating, so I never actually mentally faced this challenge. But when I grew up, there was a society who has a judgment, and as you said, who used to judge what I can do and what I can't, and as well as family members apart from my parents. But I grew up pretty confident and very self-aware that I'm very good at everything. I was very talented. I was told I was very strong, talkative, and everything. But gradually realized, and I saw a lot of people with disability, that they were having a very low self-esteem, confidence, and the parents also didn't know how to deal with the child, and the society as well. So the strength which I see, I'm superly qualified is to face these are the people, these are my audiences, especially the parents, teachers, and friends which I feel who are surrounding these kind of children or people. So I feel these are my audience, and I think I can help them to face the strong challenges because I have faced them myself, and they have helped me to grow. So nowadays I don't find anybody that I don't want to relate to. There are always good people, so you can learn from them. And the thing is superbly passionate for a better and a happy life, because whatever the circumstances may be, still you can choose to be happy and your life can be in a better place. And significantly confident is better version of self that you can discover.
And
so
who better than you?
Yeah, I'm trying my level best. So still I'm a learner, I'm thinking. And I think this we are more beyond this physical self. So I find it's much we need to know. We don't know actually anything, of life. So it's still a learning phase for me. So I know my audience is there. So I'm thinking of something like that.
Very good. Let's give it a big round of applause for our future. There is a very clear purpose, and when we do this exercise, discovering purpose through crucibles, which is the second part, you will be able to relate to what I am sharing, or I am going to share that. Okay, the question number 4 is what these people really need. So between this, so between who can I use for what I am really great, and who are those people? I think clearly from your example, there is a profession waiting to manifest. What are you doing now? Don't waste in HR. Okay, that's on the lighter side, but I think there is an inner calling and there is a greater audience who would benefit from your experiences. All right, so the last one is what those people really need and how will their lives change as a result. I am going to go back to you and ask this question. How do you think this question will get addressed if this is the case that you just shared?
There are a lot of hidden talents in people, but the prejudice that people have about you, like when I was choosing my career, there were a lot of things that my parents used to tell me, go for this, go for that, and you won't get this and you won't get that. But somehow I had a very strong self-confidence that I can do whatever I want. So that has, especially I have been in hostels for at least 6 years. I did my graduation, then MBA, and I stayed alone. I stayed alone in Delhi for 6 years, doing everything on my own, because these are the things that parents are scared of when they're leaving a special child alone. So that was a challenge for me, and I learned it from that. And every child can do that, but if you need to have a confidence.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of audience. I feel myself.
So you have the opportunity to teach, transfer, and transform. Yep. And I can relate to very well my niece, who's currently in Wells Fargo. For 28 years, she's been on wheelchair, and first time no school admitted her.
Yes.
Okay. Then we found a school for her. Then we had to modify a car wherein she could go with a chair and come back. She used to live in Rohini, a stage reach where she would independently on her motorized chair go to metro, take the metro, go to Delhi School of Economics. He topped Delhi School of Economics, got picked up by Wells Fargo. She's currently working in Bangalore in Wells Fargo. And because of her, her mother also shifted her career because this is such a significant thing. So there's a lot of power written or hidden in what we have gone through. So if you work on this 5-question framework, you will get a lot of clarity about where my purpose could lie. Now I want you to focus on these linkages. The first one is passion. Between who am I and what is that I am really great is the linkage of passion. What I am really great and who can I use for is the lens of relevance. Who I can use for and what those people really need is the linkage of profession. And what are those people who need this and how can their lives change as a result is the impact. And now comes the target. In the next 5 years, I am going to work with 500 people, help them tide over that experiences. This is how the greatest impact you will create. In the end, the mission gets formed by the sheer number of results that you produce. Okay, so I am going to leave this deck with you and you will have the access to what I wrote about myself. I do not want to go there much. Okay. The last element of today's master class is how do we discover our purpose through crucibles. So I am going to share 2 quick stories. The first one everybody knows about Oprah Winfrey. Okay. At 14 years of age, she was repeatedly abused, raped, she got pregnant and eventually had a child who died in just 2 days and 2 weeks time. And when she was undergoing, she thought life is like that because she didn't have the discretion to discern what's going on. But eventually she took charge of her and she fought and conquered what she went through. And she said that women are not supposed to undergo such abject treatment and there is something I need to do that. And as we all know from that crucible, what Oprah created is clear women empowerment in a big global impactful way. So early crucibles can give you the experiences where your purpose can lie. The other story that comes to my mind is, so the Starbucks CEO, what's the name? Anybody knows Starbucks CEO? Okay, don't Google, I'll tell you. Howard Schultz. Okay, Howard Schultz was 16 years of age when one fine day his mother called him and he said, Howard, stop playing. Your father has met with an accident, he lost his leg and company has fired him. So he cannot earn. You better take something because now we need to feed ourselves. And Howard Schultz was so upset and angry that how can such an organization exist which one day can simply fire my father without taking care of employee health and benefit. And she said, one fine day when I am going to create something like this, if God gives me an opportunity, I am going to make sure that my organization is employee friendly. And we all know Starbucks has some of the best policies for employees. So these are two examples which talk about how from your crucibles you can get an inkling of what and where your purpose could lie. When I think of my childhood, we had lots of inadequacies, lots of financial crisis, not the best schooling, and some of those impacted me deeply. And today what I do is that what I did not get, I create that experience and make sure that work with leaders and help them overcome and tide over those inadequacies, lack of confidence, lack of self-worth, and this is what as a coach or enabler I do that. So go back into your childhood and see which are those crucibles where you can get an experiences. Trust me, in your inadequacy, your deprivation, the crucial molten crisis, there is something that is hidden. If you can unravel that, it can give you that flame on which you can ignite and illuminate others. Does this make sense? So what is the way to do it is, there is a framework that I am going to give you. First, what was the situation? Think of a situation. Second, what did I experience? Third, what emotion and emotions gripped me then, and what is the residue of that emotion now? And the last one is, how can I reframe that experience into an instrument of empowerment for others? Now let me give you an example of Oprah. So we all know what was the situation she faced. Okay. What did she experience? Absolute humiliation, abject poverty, and the sense of indignity. That's what she faced. What emotions gripped her then? That how could life be so horrible? What is the residue of that emotion now? Only she can tell. I can't. But how can she reframe? She used that experience and became an instrument of empowerment for others. So Oprah Winfrey, entire cult, following, everything is all about coming from the experience that she faced. So this is how you can decodify your situation, your experience, your emotions, and come up with something. Can I use? I think hers is a great example of what she went. And if I can draw our attention to this question, how can you reframe your experience as an instrument of empowerment for others? I think in that lies the purpose, passion, and profession. And if you do this exercise, basis above, you will get a good that what could my inner calling possibly be or look like. So this is the second framework which I am giving you. The first one was 5-question framework. Which are the 5 questions? Let's hear from you. Question number 1, who am I? Okay. For who am I, what did you do? The 4 kinds of identity, which are those? First one, reflected, remembered, programmed, and created identity. Okay. What is the second question? In 5-question framework, what am I really great at? Okay. And for that I gave you a framework. Which are those 3 circles? Supremely qualified, fantastic. Superbly passionate, and significantly confident to teach. Yes, not torture. Okay. All right. And what is the question number 3rd? Who can I use for what I am really great at? Audience. And in that lies your relevance. What is the question number 4th? What does that audience really need? I may have the best wherewithal, but what is that audience that needs? In that lies your profession. Okay. And what's the last question? How will their lives change and shape up as a result? And that will lead to impact. And between impact and who am I lies your mission, and that's how you get a clarity around purpose. Okay, so last framework, and this is not something which I created, I borrowed from someone, but I found resonance. And he says, if you do a stepwise process, you can get clarity around your purpose. The first step is first figure out the passion. And we do a 2 days workshop, which I am going to talk about a little later, where we help people first figure out their passion, then profession, and then to the purpose. So, the start of purpose is rooted in your passion. I mean, what she experienced, what I experienced, what some of us experience, there is something which we joyfully and effectively do. And I am not using the word successfully, I am using the word joyfully and effectively, because success is a byproduct of those two things. So, what do you do when you find your passion? What do you think should be the next step? You practice it. You practice and practice that passion till it becomes perfect. The next stage is perfection or excellence. I generally choose excellence. I do not like perfection because perfection is relative. So, you keep practicing your passion till you attain excellence in that. When you attain excellence, what do you do? So, yes, people come into play. In your frame of reference, people come. So, who are the ones who I can use? When there are enough people to utilize what you do, that is where the profits start coming. See, I am not saying that do not chase money, you need money to create more impact. If I have more money, I can reach out to more people. So, money is an important part of this journey, but gainfully and again sensibly. When you have profit, it becomes your profession, because then you do not want to do something. You know, someone said that how can you do more and more and with less and less? So, if you are in such a demand that you do few things and that create an impact, you are on song, you are enjoying. And when your passion becomes profession, that is where you attain your purpose. So, very simple process, I quite liked it, it makes structural sense, scientific sense, and the journey begins with identifying passion. And I gave you example that my passion was rooted in that story, which I would do on swing, 3 words: dream, think, and conversation. That question you are yet to answer. Okay. So, I am going to give you 1 minute. When you did that exercise, what are the 3 words? How many of you were able to pick a memorable incident of your life, of your childhood? Anyone? Could anyone come across? Yeah, let us give a mic. Who has the mic? Yeah, here. Words. Yeah, and you can share if it is short, otherwise share the words. Just check, it is on. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 3 words for me was mobility, adaptability, and impression. So those are the 3 words which I started with, and they have transformed. But yeah, that's how I started.
Yeah. Mobility,
adaptability, and impression.
Okay. Now let us see how you can use these words into your, what are the steps that I spoke about. So guys, do take this little immersive exercise on one weekend when you have some leisure time. You will not have, you will have to create one, you will have to put it in your calendar, but go through this. This could be really a revelation for your life. And if you are in the game of finding purpose, then you eventually get this thing that how can you shine your light. Okay. So, I want all of you to really first ignite and identify your flame and then shine your light. There is a lot of darkness in the world, and you have an opportunity to shine your light. Finally, I leave with you these 9 questions. If you go in a structured way, these 9 questions are of your life and career. who you are, what you stand for, what impact you wish to create, what are your signatures, what do you bring to the table, what problem do you wish to solve. Our purpose is rooted in solving a problem. It's as simple as that, because eventually one day will come when you put your head on in a pillow, you will experience some kind of spiritual emptiness. It will come, or it may be coming on the way, you may not realize that what am I doing, where am I going. So, if you address these questions, you will eventually have a good clarity on your purpose. So, that is all I have for you. I try to give you a process, a set of tools and frameworks, and trust me, every damn thing is attainable through a structured methodology. That is what I have learned. If there is any question, I am happy to share, otherwise we can get a picture click with all of you bright, shine your light guys. Yes? Go ahead. Yeah.
Initial life was full of adversity. Then ma'am also shared her example, and you shared somebody's example, like his father was an alcoholic, and that's how he kind of got to know that what things not to do in life. So a lot of people who've come out of adversity have a lot of clarity on what they would want to do and how they would want to go about what is their passion and what is their intent in life. For a person like me who had an okay childhood, not too dramatic, and don't judge me please, no disrespect to anyone, had a very good okay childhood, good schooling, got into a job, changed roles, and for me it's, my lens is more foggy, right? So because I had a very stable journey till now.
Absolutely,
right? So my lens is more foggy in terms of what actually do I want to do in life, and what is my passion.
Okay.
Is my current job that I'm doing or whatever work that I'm doing, does my passion lie in that? The answer today is no. But then what actually is my passion? Do I really have a passion? Is another question that comes to my mind.
So let me know. A lot of resemblance to your story could be with Bill Gates. He had a okay childhood, went to Harvard Business School, everything was hunky-dory, created Microsoft, $1 billion company, billions of dollars company. What stage or moment or incident led Bill Gates to chance upon to create Bill and Melinda Gates Society and do the work that he is doing? So, what I am trying to say, there are times when you can find something from your own life, and if you do not have an epithet, be a traveler, be an explorer, go and see the world. Some incident will create empathy for you, and you may feel like doing that, and that can become your passion. This is just an example that comes to mind.
I totally agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to add something.
Sure.
We all read about the Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So this is like one need gets satisfied reasonably. That is a word called reasonably. So one need gets satisfied reasonably, the other need emerges, and likewise it is a hierarchical structure, and the ultimate one is a self-actualization. So only when esteem and actualization gets fulfilled, I mean, there we can have the answer to his question.
As you rightly said, and as I shared 3 levels of living: survival, success, and significance. In some way, it's the new modern Maslow theory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Pass the mic, please.
So a lot of it has been spoken about the kind of incidents that take place in life, right? And I've probably gone through some trainings also myself and have delivered them. So we call them significant event, emotional events, right? You also mentioned it, probably giving the example.
Crucibles.
So exactly.
Yeah.
So my question is, while we are finding out a purpose in life, is it accidental? Or like you just said, you can probably dig down deep within yourself, do an introspection, and find out a reason. And a related question to it would be that if in case, let's say, if I find a purpose of my life which is absolutely tangentially opposite to what I am probably pursuing currently at the moment. So how do I pursue that purpose, or should I continue to meet my ends, continue with the kind of current profession that I'm into it?
In my scheme of things, nothing is an accident, everything is part of design. all of you are in this session by design. Don't give yourself credit, don't give me credit. Okay? We are just here because of the design. Now, it may take us more wisdom, more time to realize this was not an accident, this was a design. So, sometimes initially things may look like an accident because our logic can only understand that much. To shift from an understanding and logic to design, you need a deeper level of thinking. Eventually it comes there. But don't worry about whether it's an accident or a design. If something creates a pull, just simply immerse in that experience. And I told you one thing, two things can change the course of your life, the books that you read and people that you meet. Okay, anybody else? All right, so if there are no more questions, thank you for giving me time. I hope this session was of value. And if it's so, I would love to have a picture click with you. With your permission?
Yes,
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much. Thank you for the fantastic session. It's a small memento of our appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, that's a smart work, it's a picture.